24 hours every day. News from Great Neck to Montauk. News 12, Long Island.
How is that obsolete hunk of junk doing, Corrigan? Fine and dandy, eh? Ready to take off on new flights to new places, Corrigan and the Crate. The American Clipper lands in Ireland after its flight across the North Atlantic. The transoceanic hop used to be a stunt, but this was a strictly business flight, pioneering a North Atlantic commercial airline. Meanwhile, a British Airways plane has flown the ocean the other way. President De Valera bids the American welcome to Ireland. They pass the British plane in mid-ocean and know that it has safely reached America. So in Ireland, greetings. And at New York, there's the British Skyliner Caledonia. And the skyscrapers are a welcome sight after the long flight across the sea. Their trailblazing task is complete. Their first stop was Newfoundland. Now, Long Island Sound. They've accomplished their half of the oceanic airline pioneering.
Private schools. We know the reputations. Is the assurance of a good education worth the cost? Stay tuned for Education Today.
Long Island Education Today, with News 12's education editor, Roma Torrey.
Every day, it seems, we're hearing about problems in the Long Island public school system. Teachers without contracts, teachers threatening to strike, districts on austerity, no sports in the schools, limited bus service. It just goes on and on. After a while, anxious parents are likely to throw up their arms and start looking for something better. Well, for a number of families, that something better comes in the form of a private or independent education. It is costly, but parents say it is worth it to know their children are getting a strong education. We're going to find out more about all of this with my guest, James Adams, the headmaster of the Eastwood School in Oyster Bay. He's joined by a parent whose child attends Eastwood. Her name is Jill Jarno. A little later, we're going to meet one of the Eastwood students. I want to ask both of you, there are 128 public school districts on Long Island. That sounds like a lot to me. Why the need for a private school education? Both of you.
Well, I think it's healthy in this country to have both public and non-public schools, and that the history of that goes way, way back. I think it's good for the public schools to have something to compete against. I think it is good for parents to have choice as far as the school that they're going to choose for their children.
Ms. Jarno, why did you choose a private school for your son?
Well, I didn't set out to use a private school, but my local school didn't have an all-day kindergarten. So I started looking around and discovered that the private or independent schools in the area had them. So I started visiting them, and I fell upon Eastwood's, and it was just such an overwhelming feeling of warmth and support for the children there and for the parents that I had no hesitation.
So you're glad you made the decision?
Yes, very glad.
All right. We have some pictures of Eastwood's. Let's take a look and find out more about it. What are we looking at?
We're looking at a third grade classroom, a typical scene in a classroom. Groups, class sizes at the school range from perhaps half a dozen up to a maximum of 15 with a given teacher. And that certainly is one of the advantages that we have a low pupil-teacher ratio.
What is the average class size?
Average class size is 10, probably.
All right. What is this class?
That's a second grade classroom, and you can see that it really isn't traditional desks in a row. There's a great deal of project work and opportunity for the children not only to learn basic skills, but to use their imagination and learn how to think as well.
What is that? Looks like some sport activity.
That is a girls' athletic event, and it is girls lacrosse. We compete interscholastically with other schools, mostly independent schools, but some public schools as well.
Are there a lot of sports activities available to students in your school?
Definitely. We have a physical education program that goes through the 4th grade, and then beginning with the 5th grade, the children have an opportunity to choose a team sport and compete in that, and they have a choice of 2 sports every season. The boys can do soccer or cross country in the fall, basketball or ice hockey in the winter.
So they're not limited?
No, they're not limited at all.
All right. What are we looking at now?
Looking at a band rehearsal. We begin instrumental music with formal training in instruments at the 4th grade level.
Looks like a play?
Well, we last spring we devoted an entire week to the Middle Ages. It was a medieval theme week, and you were seeing children in medieval costume, and it was the entire school, from our 3-year-old nursery children up to our 9th graders, involved in all kinds of activities that had to do with the Middle Ages.
What's that?
That's a gym class, and that's one of the physical education instructors who's helping a child up over an obstacle, doing an obstacle course demonstration.
Never seen that before in a school.
And I think that's doing it for parents.
I see.
So that there's an opportunity for the parents to see the progress that the children have made.
And there's the school.
Yep, that's the main building. It was an estate house that the school bought in 1948 and has converted to school purposes. There are added wings on the school now to accommodate the 260 students that we have in the school.
You know, I have to be honest with you, Mr. Adams, what I'm seeing doesn't look all that much different from what I see, you know, when I go around to the public schools. But I'm sure there's a lot more to a private education than what we see. What are the advantages?
Well, the obvious that we just talked about a few moments ago in terms of class size. And that translates into an advantage, I think, in a lot of different ways. There is no question that there is close relationship between pupil and teacher, and that teacher can get to student, and in turn student can get to teacher if you have a limited number of students in the classroom. It's hard to explain to a degree, but there is unquestionably an esprit at the school. I'm not going to say that we never have discipline problems and that we don't get our halos tipped from time to time, but there are not ongoing discipline problems that cause us to have to waste a lot of time dealing with them. So that the time that the children are in school is good, useful time. The faculty know that the kids generally are going to behave well and that they are going to receive respect from the children. And that's backed clearly by the parents. That they want that kind of atmosphere within the school.
Yeah, I guess there's a feeling of commitment.
No question about it.
We're all in this to learn, and that's the bottom line.
And our program accelerates gradually but steadily as the children move through the grades. It's not easy to go to school. Children have homework. They get their homework done. We can move at an accelerated pace because they do their homework, but there's an excitement within the school. And perhaps Jill would...
Before we get to that, and we're going to take a break in just about a minute, but we've been skirting one issue, the cost. It is an expensive venture, isn't it? What is the tuition at Eastwoods?
Well, it ranges from about $4,000 at the nursery school level, which is a half-day program for 3-year-olds, to around $8,000 for children in the upper school, which is the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
That includes transportation and food?
Transportation is provided by the state. There is a law in the state of New York that children will be bused to the school of their parents' choice within a 15-mile radius, and our children, 95% of them, come by bus, and that's arranged through the public school district in which the family lives.
Okay. We're going to take a break, and we're going to hear from Ms. Jarno. If she's able to pay that kind of money, I'm sure she is. We'll be right back.
No matter how you go to work, where you work can help you do better work. That's why you'll love to work in the park-like setting of the Woodland and Rabro office complexes in Hauppauge. Our furnished executive suites include an elegant reception area, an extensive law library, impressive conference rooms, plus typing, computer, fax, and mail service. From full-service suites to full floors, come to the Woodland and Rabro office complexes, and you may never want to leave the office.
Good night, Mr. Bloom.
Call 516-582-5580.
When you go to the bank for a home equity loan, do you ever get the feeling they're trying to tell you something? Once you get the message, call Statewide Capital. We'll get you money easily and quickly, even if you've been turned down by the bank. Use the equity in your home to get a home equity loan from $10,000 to $250,000 or more. No lines, no forms, and fast approvals. Statewide Capital gets you money easily. Call 1-800-DIAL-CASH. 1-800-DIAL-CASH.
Only at Tom Rice Buick, you get the Tom Rice price.
There are only 3 sure things in this life, and Tom Rice Buick has them all.
That's right, Roger. Purchase any previously owned car just like these, and you get the Tom Rice triple sure thing. If you can say low price, fair deal, big selection, you'll say,
head to Tom Rice Buick and get a sure thing.
Only at Tom Rice Buick, you get the Tom Rice price.
And a triple sure thing on every used car.
We're talking about the benefits of a private education, and we've been joined by an 8th grader at the Eastwood School. His name is Jesse Schaefer. Thanks for joining us, Jesse. Before we get to Jesse, though, we were talking about tuition at the school. It's no doubt an expensive venture, and Jill Jarno, a parent, is going to tell us how she was able to come up with that kind of money and what led to the decision to make that kind of expenditure.
Well, in the first place, my son loves to go to school. He's loved it from the first day. He comes home smiling. When summer vacation comes along, he's let down, and he counts the days till school starts. When I talk to the children around us in our neighborhood, and they're not enthusiastic. It's not that they hate school, but they don't have the real enthusiasm that I see coming from my son. Mm-hmm. It makes it a lot easier to make that stretch, a financial stretch that we do make to send our son there.
What does it take for you to make that payment?
Well, there's certain things that we would do or have, certain possessions that we would have that we don't have. It goes into tuition, but for me, the greatest gift that I can give my child is a love of school, love of education, and to put him in a place where he's respected and he can learn respect for other people. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm giving him something wonderful that the replacement with a fancy boat or car wouldn't come close.
We all know the reputation of a private school education. It sounds kind of elitist, and the kids are rich snob types. It doesn't sound like that's your experience at all.
It's not my experience. I'm sure in every situation, public school, independent school, there's going to be somebody who's rich and snobby. Mm-hmm. But those aren't the kind of people that we're attracted to. Those are not the kind of people who become our friends, and they're wonderful people in this school who we've become very friendly with. And it doesn't occur to me that this is a snobby situation.
Jesse, you've been going to the Eastwood School for most of your school career.
Yes.
Do you find, are you teased at all by your friends in the neighborhood that you have to wear a uniform to go to school?
Well, it's, I started out going to a public school for about 2 months in kindergarten, and after some bad scholastic experiences, my parents decided that, you know, private school was for me. So I went to, you know, it's great. I had a great time, first day. And you start wearing ties and jackets and pants. You can wear turtleneck and stuff like that at 6th grade.
That must have been a drag.
Well, it wasn't, I wasn't too enthusiastic about it at first, but you get used to it, and, you know, now that I'm older and I can appreciate it, I know that when I have to go to work, and, you know, it'll be all right. But there was a little degree of teasing at first, but it's metered off a little bit, and now they kind of say, you know, you look kind of good in a tie and jacket. They, you know, they like it.
Jill Jarno was saying that her son enjoys going to school, and she doesn't see that from the other children in her neighborhood. What's your experience? Do you really look forward to going to school?
I look forward going to Eastwoods for a number of reasons. One of them being that I enjoy my peers a lot. I've known them for most of my life, most of them, and those who even come in this year, you know, 3/4 of the class is from kindergarten, and those that aren't, they, you know them like you know a brother or sister, and so it's going back, you know, it's like going to a family. And the teachers are extremely enthusiastic, so, you know, you have something to look forward to. You know that, you know, summer is great and everything, but, you know, you can't live on it. You know.
Yeah. What kinds of things do you do in school?
Things I do in school. It's a normal, you know, it's not like, you know, there's like a little sign, you know, public school label A. You know, it's, you know, it's a normal school. Like, that you go to class, from class to class, the bell rings, you go from a class, and the teachers are always enthusiastic. They're extremely enthusiastic, which tends to make the student enthusiastic. You know, you don't have to go, oh, I have so much homework to do. You say, you know, I have a lot of homework, but, you know, it's not that bad, because at least it's interesting. It's not go fetch the ball spot kind of thing.
You were telling me that your friends at first were teasing you a little bit about the uniform, the tie, and all that. But then once they realized the benefits of your school as opposed to what the kinds of resources were being offered in the public schools, they became pretty envious.
Envious is a word that I would use mildly. You know, they're not like begging to go, but, you know, they know that there are more benefits, but they, you know, they don't really, you know, they do want the benefits, but they're not, there's, at this point already, now that, you know, if they came in, they think that they wouldn't fit in already, but, you know, you fit in because it's a warm community. You come and everybody, you know, it's not like you're excluding anybody. So
do you feel that you're a little bit more advanced than other students your age?
It sounds snobbish, but it's to some degree, because of the you know, you get individual attention because of the size of the classes, so you tend to excel a little. You know, if you're an 8th grader, sometimes you use 9th grade books, and you tend to move. I've had, you know, used the same books occasionally as my friends in public school, and they'll be in the first chapter, we'll be on the 19th. You know, it's not like Head of the Class, the television show, you know, where it's not as tight as that, you know, it's very loose, but we move at a very accelerated pace.
Let me ask you this now. You're through at the Eastwood School in another year. You have one more year to go. It only goes up to 9th grade. What's going to be the transition for you? Where are you going?
Well, the thing for me is that I think it's going to be kind of scary, because it's like leaving home, because Eastwood's, that's all I've known. It's not like I went from a grammar school to a junior high to a high school. I just stayed, and, you know, I knew the teachers that I know now in my classes, you know, in 1st grade, so I've known them. So the transition from going to a boarding school or to another independent that goes through 12th, it'll be different, but the same. You know, it'll still feel the same way, but, you know, it'll be starting over to some degree.
What do you want to do when you get older? I know it's awfully early.
What do I want to do? I'm not sure. You know, Eastwoods tends to feed you with go for it. You know, do what you want to do, be an independent person, enjoy what you do. mainly, and I'm not sure. I have a couple ideas, but I don't think that
it is awfully early. I don't want to put any pressure on you. You have enough as it is, I'm sure. We're going to take a break. We're talking about a private school education, and when we come back, we'll be joined by the headmaster, James Adams. Don't go away.
Honey, this store has lots of vanities. Let's get this one.
We'd like this vanity, please.
Oh, that's not in stock. How about this one?
Oh, this won't fit. Well, what about that one?
Nope, but I've got hundreds of this one.
Oh, hundreds in stock, but not the one we want.
At Consumers, you'll really find hundreds of vanities to choose from. Thousands are inventoried in our warehouse and available to take home today. Consumers, where kitchens and baths are our only business.
Family. It's something worth holding on to. But holding on is harder if things go wrong. A parent gets lost in alcohol. A child in depression. Sometimes it's the stress of making ends meet, of keeping a marriage together, or just growing old. Because things can go wrong, there's the Family Service League. If we can't help you hold on, we'll find someone who can.
Here's a special notice from the Viking fishing fleet in Montauk. Porgies are in hot and heavy, and the Viking Starlight is on the Porgy Run. Sailing time, 6 a.m. every day. Call 668-5700 for schedules. Join our special trips to the famous No Man's Land to fish for the big jumbos. Sail from Montauk at 3 a.m. Friday through Monday. Don't miss this fantastic fishing. It's Porgy time.
We're talking about private school education and perhaps the advantages over public schools, and we've been rejoined by the headmaster of the school. His name is James Adams. I was thinking of the president. Mr. Adams, you were mentioning to me before the ratio of teacher to student is 1 to 10, which sounds very good. Or the average ratio.
A little under that, but
in a classroom.
that's close enough, yes.
Okay. Tell me about your faculty. Would you consider them a cut above what we'd find in a public school?
Well, I don't want to be put in that position of trying to make comparisons, but I know that the teaching conditions at the school are ideal. And we know each other, we're close to each other. Not only salaries, but benefits are good for the faculty. We work closely together. There's a diverse faculty. I don't just hire teachers from Long Island. Hire teachers from out of the area, so that there's diversity within the faculty.
Are your standards higher, though, for employment?
Well, I can't say that our standards are higher. Our standards are different. I don't require that a teacher be certified. And there's a lot of talk about this, certainly at the national level, about whether or not it's better to have a teacher who has taken a lot of education courses, or whether a teacher has the opportunity to become stronger because he or she has majored in a particular field, be it English or history or foreign language or whatever. And I am certainly looking for people who are strong and who have strong backgrounds in the particular area that I am looking for, and I don't want to be bound by state certification rules, and we are an independent school and therefore are not bound by that.
Mm-hmm. So, but tell me about your teachers, though. I mean, well, let's hear from Jessie. Do you enjoy working with your teachers?
Yeah.
Do you have that typical, authority? There's the authority, and then I am the teacher, you're the student kind of thing?
It's they try to be your friend, but if you get out of hand, and the class gets too wild, there is a definite, rod of iron that comes. They don't mess. They show you that they're not going to mess around, but once that you get the idea, they sort of get a little loose and joke around, but while they're teaching, so that the teachers, in a sense, become, it sounds kind of, your friends, I guess you could say.
Uh-huh. Well, that's good. I understand you have a special fellowship program at the school?
This was just instituted 2 years ago. A family made a significant donation to the school of money. It was a former parent, a father of 4 children who went through Eastwoods, and he lost his wife, and he and the children wanted to do something in her memory, and they set up the Donna Mayer Fellowship. We have funds in the budget to help support faculty who want to pursue advanced degrees or go to workshops and that. The Donna Mayer Fellowship is a step beyond that. We had 4 members of the faculty who were awarded fellowships for this summer. One, a 5th grade teacher who is doing a particular program in the 5th grade called the Voyage of the Mimi, which is a very exciting program based upon a public television series. And she had the opportunity to go on a 6-day whale watch off the coast of New England. Mm-hmm. And it was a tremendous experience for her, and she, with all of that was paid for by the school through a Mayer Fellowship. Another member of the...
Was she able to relate all of this then to the class?
Oh, she's brought it back to the class in a significant way, and she was on the Harvey Gamage, the sailing ship, for 6 days with other teachers from around the country who were using this same program, and they shared with one another, and now she has brought it back enthusiastically to the school.
Is that the kind of thing public schools can't afford to do?
I really am not in a position to know. I mean, I know there are austerity budgets in public school districts and that kind of thing, but I really don't know. I think it's unusual for an elementary school to have this kind of a program. I'm not aware that there are many schools that give the faculty this kind of opportunity, and it creates a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and a desire to improve themselves professionally.
You have a pre-K program or nursery school?
Start with 3-year-olds in the nursery.
Yeah, what do you do you wouldn't see in an ordinary program with the real young children?
You mean in a nursery program? Well, I think that a great many 3-year-old programs are really babysitting programs, and ours is certainly, we have, our teachers are all, if not certified, they all have their degrees in early childhood education. They know what the needs of a 3-year-old children are, and it's difficult to describe it to you. It really is something that you have to see to understand. We take a maximum of 12 children in our nursery class, and we have 2 teachers working with those 12 children.
Yeah, that's a tremendous ratio, 1 to 6 then.
Yeah.
That's great. Jesse, workload. Do you work harder than most students, do you think?
What do you mean, homework-wise?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Upper schoolers, 6th through 9th, get I think between an hour and a half to even 3 hours homework. But that's not, every night you get 3 hours homework. That's occasionally, maybe once a week you get in a big load of homework, but it's not constant. I know of friends in public school that, have as much, but I don't know if they have fun doing it. I really don't know.
You have fun doing it?
Well, I'm not saying I have fun doing 3 hours of homework, but, at least you can say, you're trying to do well. There's that same feeling there again.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to cut you off right now. I really thank both of you for coming.
Thank you.
And we have run out of time. No doubt private schools are costly, but after all you've heard, you may find it a very worthwhile investment. We thank you for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.